Welcome back to Suing the Internet Part 2. We're not actually suing the internet, we're suing an ISP provider. Surf Internet. The first video, there's been some questions about why maybe they're just digging in an easement, or maybe they have a permit. So I'm going to go through the introduction of our complaint, and hopefully that clarifies a few of these initial questions people have. So case is about Surf Internet entering our property without permission, installing fiber optic equipment and then leaving it there without showing us any legal right to use the property. And before any work began, we told Surf Internet very clearly in writing that they did not have permission to enter our property unless they could show us something specific to our parcel, an easement, a license, anything that would show they had a legal right to do so. And after a year, they never provided one. So instead, Surf relied on a general claim that the area was part of a public right-of-way. They said they had permits or government approval, but they would not provide any of those documents to us that shows these approvals actually exist or actually gave them a property right over our specific parcel. And in fact, they told us to search the public records ourselves. That was our initial conversation with them. And then on August 6th, after we had already denied them permission in writing, Surf Internet entered our property anyway. And they decided that they were going to do the project. They obviously got an email, from us. We're actively discussing the matter. And then, what do you know? About a month later, on September 10th, while actively disputing the first entry, Surf had someone come onto our property again, a second time, still without permission. And by this time, we had a camera set up and looking over our front yard. Showed up in a Surf Internet truck, appeared to be taking measurements, walking across the property, measuring things where they had conducted previous work. Witnessed by multiple people this time and recorded on camera. The equipment is still there today. Surf has not removed it. They have not produced a recorded easement. They have not shown us any parcel-specific property right, and they have not provided a written legal explanation for why they believe they are entitled to continue occupying our property. What makes this concerning is that Surf's own attorney later acknowledged that the company had been operating under a different understanding of the right-of-way. Their general counsel said that Surf was looking for actual source documents instead of relying on Googling online or AI information, and shared that the research was more obscure than they had originally thought. In other words, Surf entered first and then tried to confirm its legal authority later. They also acknowledged that removing the equipment would be feasible. It would not take very long. Great, can you take it out? Well, they haven't. It's still there. Despite their admission that it's easy to uninstall it, the equipment remains in place through today. So that's the basis for the lawsuit. Surf Internet entered our property after permission had been denied, installed permanent infrastructure without producing a legal property right, entered the property a second time during the dispute, and continues to occupy the property without removing the equipment or proving that it belongs there. So if that clarifies anything about the dispute, it gets a little bit more interesting than that. They had a fundraising effort. They raised $407 million securitizing assets across Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan, which is the very infrastructure they have installed, like what's in my front yard. So my property is not unique. I've got 9 neighbors, or I'm one of 9 homes stretching out to the east. And I would wager we all have the exact same situation in terms of what is or isn't owned by the homeowners. And so it raises a question. Surf did this huge, let me pull that up real quick. So March 4th, 2026, essentially while we were disputing whether or not Surf had permission to install this infrastructure on our property, they were simultaneously raising capital against that type of infrastructure and transferring beneficial owner of it to a Delaware company. 407 million, let me zoom in here. 407 million fiber asset backed securitization. And so when you make an offering like this, you have to wonder, one, let's see, we have a bunch of other people involved, and when you raise capital and you offer a securitization like this, there is a fiduciary obligation to disclose if there are any legal issues over what you're raising capital against. So there's more questions here. On my road alone, there are 9 properties where fiber is potentially installed without authorization. These assets are across Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana. When I reached out to Surf, they really didn't seem to understand what the property rights issue was I was raising. So that raises some concerns over what sort of due diligence was done over this offering. Did they do any? As I was actively emailing Surf's general counsel, did Goldman Sachs know about it? Did Kirkland and Ellis LLP know about disputed property? Was due diligence done on every property that holds fiber assets that were securitized? That's a bigger question. That's interesting to me. It's not part of my case. I did not invest in this. But I am curious, was the fiber they installed on my property part of this offering? Because that would stir things up a little bit. So that's a little bit more information. That's just the introduction. It's like the first 10 paragraphs in our complaint. And there's plenty more if you want to know more. We're a few days in past filing. So we'll see if we get an answer or an appearance from Surf and what they have to say about the complaint. Follow along if you want to see what happens. Thanks for watching.